Hey there. Um, I have been trying to figure out how to get this to you all. And I thought it was important that um, you have a little kind of context or backstory. Um, I came across the transcript of the sentencing hearing in Natalie Cochran's fraud case. And I think Lawyer Lee has also mentioned that how striking this hearing was. It occurred in March of 2021, actually, March 18th, 2021. So, approximately 2 years after Michael passed away. Um, and it's very long. The document's like 130 pages. And so I've been trying to figure out how to use AI and convert it to like an audio, not an audio book, but just a video that you could listen to. I'm still in the process of working on that. But in the interim, there's a couple of witnesses that I think would be relevant. But for now, I'm just going to do them probably the most impactful. And that's the first, and that's Donna Bolt, who is Natalie's mother-in-law. I'm just going to read it, and I'll try and get through it as efficiently as possible. If you recall last week, the prosecution found out that Donna Bolt was likely not going to be able to testify for them in the criminal case, which was quite a setback. And we still don't know the details of that, nor should we really be privy to that. But my anticipation is that she had some type of interaction or communication that rendered her no longer qualified to be a witness. That's just my speculation. I don't know that for a fact because I can't foresee, I really can't fathom that she would not want to testify in the criminal matter. So all of that to say, I'm going to read her testimony. And again, you'll see here's a list of the witnesses. So Donna Bolt is Michael's mother. Ed Bolt is his stepfather, but he apparently raised him from the age of 8, and I think very much considers him his father. I have not heard anything about Michael's biological father. Chris Davis, if you've been following the trial, is an attorney and was a friend of theirs who was also defrauded as part of the quote Ponzi scheme, and he's speaking on behalf of I guess a firm that he was also a part of that invested in the companies that Natalie started. And then Jeff Vickers is a banker who he was at Premier Bank, and he extended some lines of credit to them. We already have heard from Stephanie Hamilton. She testified in the criminal case. Lacey Treadway, Tony McCall, Jessica Miller. These are all people who were also part of the defrauding. And I think Lacey Treadway actually testified fairly positively at this hearing for Natalie. And then this Dr. Kevin Bailey, he wanted to go at the end. I don't know the backstory on this. I'm looking into it, but he testified that essentially, I think he had a sick daughter, and he was going to use the returns from his investment in Natalie's companies to set up a trust for his daughter. And so I think he lost a fair amount of money. So I'm going to look into that. But regardless, let's just get to Donna's testimony because it will take long enough. Okay, we're back. I'm going to start here. She's sworn in, and then she says, "My name is Donna Bolt, and I'm the mother of Michael Brandon Cochran, who suddenly passed away February 11th, 2019 at the young age of 38. I'm also Natalie Page Cochran's mother-in-law. My husband Eddie and I are victims twice. First, our precious son, Michael Brandon, passed away, and we will never, ever get over this. We will always continue to grieve and miss him. Second, our beloved daughter-in-law, Natalie Cochran, stole our entire life savings, and we were led to believe by Natalie that our money was being invested in legitimate government and state contracts that had substantial profit returns. Eddie and I loved Natalie so much. She was our daughter-in-law, but we treated her and thought of her as a daughter. Natalie was the wife of our son, Michael, and the mother of our precious grandchildren, Nicole and Ashton. We were so... Time out. I would ordinarily, I mean, this is not redacted. This is public record, which is why I'm stating their names. They may both be above, they may no longer be minors at this point. Regardless, this is in an unredacted public federal filing. So that's why I'm not redacting their names. We were so proud. Eddie had no reason, we had no reason to not believe Natalie because she was family, our daughter-in-law. Natalie said, "I want to help you both out to live comfortably in retirement because I am doing it for my parents too." Natalie went further to say, "My parents made $60,000 in 5 months." Natalie Cochran had a scheme of financial gain while destroying us at the same time. It did not matter that we were family, that Natalie was married for almost 19 years to our son, Michael. We are not only financially devastated, but we are also broken and grieving for Michael. I will never forget the day, Tuesday, June 25th, 2019, that two men dressed in suits came to our door. Time out. This is approximately 4 months after Michael passed away. And the one thing that struck me as I read through this transcript, not just for the Bolts, but for everyone, is that at the time of Michael's passing, they did not know about this fraud. They might have suspected it. I'm sure that many of them kind of had their suspicions, but they didn't know for a fact. And so what Donna's talking about here is the actual day that she and her husband, Ed, find out about this. And it's in June, so it's like 4 months later. The other thing I didn't realize is that, I guess I'm kind of putting this in context now, but after Michael passed away, Natalie continued the business. And in another part of the transcript at the end, I think Dr. Bailey, the guy that goes at the very end, I think he's the one that makes the comment, if there were remorse or if Natalie were being coerced by her husband into doing this and orchestrating the scheme, it would have ended when he died. But it didn't. And in fact, many of the people that testify at this hearing basically say it ramped up after he passed away. One other thing to keep in mind, much of this is not admissible in the criminal case because of what we call a 404 hearing, 404B hearing, prior bad acts. And basically it's a hearing on whether or not certain acts of the defendant, it doesn't always have to be of the defendant, but whether bad acts can be brought in and testified to, or whether they're overly prejudicial, because you basically don't want a jury to convict someone because they're a bad person. You want the jury to convict them because they find beyond a reasonable doubt that they've committed the crime that they're accused of. So regardless, I'm telling you all and conveying this because I think it helps to give some context of what was going on in their lives, that the scale and the scope of this fraud, and also, you know, some of what Donna Bolt potentially would have testified to in a criminal trial. Again, she would have been limited because there are only certain, that at the 404B hearing, Judge Kirkpatrick, I believe, ruled that certain parts of the evidence could come in. And, you know, but basically as motive, because that is the state's argument theory of the case, that she was trying to hide this fraud and that her husband was going to find out the extent of it. But even though that all of this can't come in the criminal trial, it does, we can now read it, and it gives us some context of what people thought of her. Then, they were beginning to potentially think this even when Michael passed away. All of that to say, I'm giving you this as context, but you're not obviously going to hear a lot of this in the actual criminal trial. Okay, I'll stop trying to caveat. Natalie Cochran had a scheme of financial gain while destroying us at the same time. It did not matter that we were family, that Natalie was married for almost 19. Sorry, I've already read this part. I will never forget the day, Tuesday, June 25th, 2019, that two men dressed in suits came to our door. They identified themselves as West Virginia State Police investigator and U.S. Attorney's Office. They asked to speak with us, and we invited them in. It was on this day that mine and Eddie's life changed forever. We were already grieving the tragic and sudden death of Michael just 4 months earlier. Now we're being told that there are no government or state contracts, that Natalie was running a Ponzi scam. We were also told that our son Michael's death is being investigated. So this is when they find out that Michael laid on the couch in their home for several hours without getting any treatment. I just remember screaming and wailing, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" I kept asking, but the officials couldn't tell me anything more. This day was the beginning of a new kind of death for Eddie and me. Our precious Michael gone, and our beloved daughter-in-law, Natalie, had stolen all of our life savings, and we just couldn't believe what we were hearing. How could this happen? Why? How can Natalie do this to us? We had just been texting and talking to Natalie for the last 3 days. So in June of 2019, 4 months after he died, getting ready to sign a written agreement with Natalie this very day, June 25th, 2019. They were going to sign another agreement to invest with her. Natalie verbally stated to us that she owed us $290,000, that we invested in her two companies, that TSG and TMS was going to pay us $9,000 a week for a total of $290,000, and the profit of $1.1 million to be paid by Natalie Cochran, owner, at that point, sole owner of TSG and TMS, for our elder care, to take care of us in our aging years for whatever we needed to live, pay our monthly mortgage, new car, lawnmower, etc. It was all a lie. Our life savings was gone, stolen by our daughter-in-law. Eddie and I were in shock, and we're still in mental and financial turmoil. We are numb. We can't function or think. Sleepless nights, depression, and anxiety, so stressed all the time. We're finding it so difficult to go on with our lives each day. I cry all the time. I am so sad, and my heart is broken with Michael's passing. And now this financial loss has taken a devastating and traumatic toll on our well-being as our health is declining. I constantly worry about how we're going to pay this bill or that bill, especially since we're both retired and on a fixed income. What's going to happen to us? Are we going to lose our home because we can't pay our mortgage? What do we do if our car breaks down? We can't afford to buy another one because we can't afford the payments. Eddie and I have worked hard for over 40 years just so we could have a little nest egg to ensure a comfortable rest of our lives together. Natalie Cochran took that away from us. She betrayed us. She took advantage of us because we loved her and we believed everything she said, never once doubting her, especially when she said, "I want to help you both to live comfortably in retirement because I am doing it for my parents too." We thought it was such a blessing. Over the course of 2 years, from June 26th, 2017 to February 28th, 2019, we used up our life savings and invested all our money in Natalie Cochran's businesses, TMS and TSG, and gave her 31 checks a bank cashier's check, and 11 Visa credit card wire charges to invest in government and state contracts. All this time, still believing Natalie that the money is coming. You will receive a wire transfer in 24 hours. Your 1.39 million will be in your bank account within the next 7 days. Being audited, but the money is coming, I promise. Or there is a government shutdown. Excuse after excuse, lie after lie after lie, and still no deposits were made. The money never came. We trusted Natalie because we loved her. She was our beloved daughter-in-law. She was married to our son, Michael, for almost 19 years. We never, ever questioned or doubted Natalie because she was family and because she was so convincing. Natalie would tell us either in person or by text that she owed us this money and that she is going to pay us. I promise. We even received several written documents from Natalie Cochran that looked original and professional. Betsy Britland of the Federal Reserve, Christopher Davis, attorney of Wooten, Davis, Hussle, Ellis, Senator Joe Manchin, Senator Manchin's assistant, Jerry Green, Brian Delkowski of Defense Financing and Accounting Services, or DFAS for short, Bank of America, and Pay Simple Billing of Bank of America. Timeout. I can't even with this. So there was a charge of identity theft against her. One of the counts was for identity theft. I haven't gone in to really dig into the federal indictment because at this point, she pled to 2 of the counts, I believe, but she was impersonating Senator Joe Manchin. And then she made up a Federal Reserve employee, Betsy Britland. Like, the hubris of this is mind-blowing. Okay, sorry. These documents stated that they were assisting Natalie Cochran in retrieving our money, and the Bank of America Simple Pay document stated on April 10th, 2019, that our funds of $105,000 and $1.285 million would be in our bank account within the next 24 hours. Sorry. Every time Natalie's mouth opened or another text or piece of mail, email came from her, it was just another lie, another con. I kept very detailed records written on 3 pages of spreadsheets. These records show all the transactions between Natalie Cochran, owner of TSG and TMS, and us, Eddie and Donna Bolt. These records show the names of the contracts, the amounts of each, the profit return, the due date, and the pay date starting June 26th, 2017. As I said, 31 checks written to TMS and TSG, 1 cashier's check, and 11 credit card wire charges. I also have text messages on my cell phone that, for some reason, I never erased. These text messages start July 31st, 2018, and shows how Natalie Cochran connived and lied and conned us, and how she enticed and manipulated us to invest in her companies. The language she used and how she told us time after time that the money is coming. These texts show how Natalie continued to lie to us, abuse us, because we trusted her and kept reassuring us into believing in her fraudulent, diabolical plan as she continued to steal our life savings. When Michael was in the hospital on the ventilator at CAMC in February of 2019, Natalie sat in the corner on her computer and cell phone away from Michael and us, and she would look up occasionally and say, "I'm doing some work. I'm working on contracts." As my precious son laid helpless in the hospital, Natalie even sent texts of government contracts trying to entice us with enormous profit returns. She didn't care about anything or anyone, not even Michael as he laid in that hospital bed. Just 10 days after Michael died, Natalie was texting us state contracts with huge 10-day profit returns, once again conniving and scheming with her lies, promising that these contracts had affidavits and that the state always pays on time, guaranteed. Again, we believed Natalie because she was family and we loved her, and never in a million years thought she would ever hurt or deceive us, because we thought she loved us too and wanted to help us. We continued to believe Natalie until June 25th, 2019, when our eyes were opened for the first time to her evil doings. Natalie Cochran has ruined our lives. We will never be the same. We are so heartbroken and devastated. Eddie and I are so mentally, physically, and emotionally distraught to the point of almost having a nervous breakdown, having chest pain and heart palpitations, and are frequently seeing a cardiologist and our physician for mental and emotional stress and severe health issues. Not only have we lost our son, Michael, and dealing with his death, but we have also lost the relationship with Michael's children, our grandchildren, Nicole and Ashton. Natalie Cochran has turned our grandchildren against us with her lies and deceit and her evil ways. We have heard rumors that both grandchildren are going to school in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, and that Natalie has relinquished her rights of her grandchildren to her parents, Daphne and Larry Jessup. We do know that Daphne and Larry Jessup sold their home and have moved in with Natalie and our grandchildren at the 4-H Lake Home in Daniels, West Virginia, and have been living there for almost a year now. Time out. There's a whole other side story and lots of letters to the court about this house. And some of you may have seen, I made a little short about the fact that Natalie wrote a book while she was in prison. I mean, she's still in prison, but and put it on Amazon. It was like a devotional by her, and I think her daughter and her mother, I think, helped. And I'm not trying to disparage these folks. I don't know them at all, but I can just say, like, from an attorney's perspective, if you have been, well, she pled guilty to these 2 counts of, I think, wire fraud, and the other was an illegal monetary transaction. But it's probably not a good idea to then go and sell something on Amazon when you have ruined the lives of so many people and owe them so much money and had to declare bankruptcy. Just a thought. Anyway, there's all these other kind of side stories that add color to some degree of all that was going on. And this story about the house and her parents trying to buy it. And then Donna Bolt thinks they were living in it for free, basically. Anyway, I may do a separate video on that. I don't know that it's worth it, but that's what she's talking about. And I think there was a fair amount of time where Natalie and the kids were living there with her, even after she had been indicted for the murder on the murder charge. Apparently, the murder charge was dismissed, and then it was rebrought after his body was exhumed. And so I don't know if it was dismissed and rebrought like once or twice, but this case, the criminal case, has been going on for a while. I don't know when she was first indicted. We have no contact with Nicole and Ashton, as they will not speak to us or contact us. Their minds have been distorted with untruths and incorrect information by their mother and her family. We've reached out to Nicole and Ashton by text. However, Nicole stopped responding as of June 2019. Ashton's last text in August 2019 was, "Don't text me anymore. I'm going to block you. You never loved us. We know that now." Where did this come from except from their mother, Natalie Cochran? It's been almost 2 years since we have seen Nicole, who is almost 16, and Ashton, almost 14. Yeah, so I guess if this was in March of 21, and we're now in January of 25, right? Yeah. So he would be approximately 18, I'm guessing, and then she would be 20. And I can't, these poor kids. I mean, they've been through hell, and unfortunately, they're still going to probably continue to go through hell. And I'm reading this to you all because it's not readily available. I mean, it's public, but you have to go on Pacer basically, and download it. And I will actually share it on my Google Drive if you want to download it. But I'm just reading this because it gives context. I don't obviously want to bring any more pain to any of these families, but I think it's important because this is stuff that's not going to come out at trial. And, this is just Donna Bolt's allegation, her assertions. I mean, granted, she was under oath, but we don't know how much of this is true. But given that she was under oath and that she was willing to testify in the criminal trial, I think that does lead, some credibility to it, lend some credibility to it. Okay, sorry. It's been almost 2 years since we have seen Nicole, who is almost 16, and Ashton, almost 14. We love our grandkids and we miss them so much. I believe that our grandchildren think and have been told that we are responsible for all that is happening around them, but I hope that one day Nicole and Ashton will know the truth about what their mother has done to us and to others. We pray for our grandchildren continuously, and we hope that someday we will have a relationship with them again. Nicole and Ashton may not understand now what's going on, or they may wonder why everyone is ganging up on their mother, but they are very intelligent, and one day they will know. They will become curious. It may take time. It may take them to grow into adulthood before they know the truth about their mother and what she has done to us and others. My husband, Eddie, and I find ourselves devoid of future hope. We are both 62 years old and both on disability Social Security. We still can't believe it and find it so difficult to deal with what Natalie Cochran has done to us. Natalie has stolen our entire life savings. My family doctor has, on several occasions, offered to prescribe medicine for my anxiety and depression and emotional stress, but I have declined. I've thought about talking with a therapist, psychiatrist, but I don't think anyone can help with everything we have been going through these last 3.5 years and are still going through. Just trying to see how much we have left. There's a lot of repetitiveness. So I may skip some of that. Not because I'm trying to negate what happened to them, but just because it is redundant. Judge Bolt, Natalie Cochran is a criminal. She committed wire and bank fraud against us. We are financially broke. We have no savings account or retirement fund now. It is all gone now because of her evil doings. She is the devil, and God will deal with her on Judgment Day. Natalie Cochran, she is evil and a thief, not just an ordinary thief who stole money. This woman is intelligent and conniving and so convincing. She stole our life of financial security to live our lives in stability and comfort in our aging years. Natalie took our entire life savings and was laughing at us the entire time. Natalie Cochran's fraud is of unparalleled evil, and she is a monster. She thinks she is above the law and better than anyone else. Natalie thinks she is untouchable and always in control. She doesn't care about anyone but herself, not even her children. She is a user and abuser, but Natalie has to be stopped because she will do it again to others if given a chance. Immediately after Natalie Cochran's plea deal on September 21st, 2020, she released a statement to the local WOAY TV station. I look forward to the day I am provided the opportunity to go into more detail regarding the events that have transpired in the last few years. What is Natalie going to say? That my son Michael was responsible for her evil deeds and her narcissistic and sociopathic ways? Yes. I personally handed the checks and credit cards to Natalie Cochran, and I only dealt with Natalie about the government and state contracts. So this would have been important testimony in the criminal case. Is Natalie going to also blame my son Michael for the fake scholarships and the stolen money from the Shady Spring Baseball League and the lying in bankruptcy court? The lying in bankruptcy court is pretty egregious, and this judge happened to be the chief bankruptcy judge in that district for a while. And later in the hearing, he really lays into her about her misrepresentations. She didn't even mention her ownership interest in the two companies. And the fake tax returns. Y'all, I'm a tax lawyer. That's what I do by trade. This is just my love. This true crime is my love. And I used to do defense work and family law litigation. But at my core, I'm a tax lawyer. The fact that someone faked tax returns is like blows my mind. I mean, I know it happens. It definitely happens. I've witnessed it, but I just can't. I can't. I mean, that, it goes to the extent of the narcissism. Natalie also said in her statement, in the interest of my family and children, and so my family can go forward. These statements just show that Natalie only cares about her and her family, that there is no concern or compassion for us as Natalie's mother and father-in-law, and what we have been through because of Natalie, or any concern for the other victims that she has harmed. Natalie Cochran portrayed TMS and TSG, the two companies, as legitimate businesses for government contracts. She lied over and over and over again. Natalie schemed and devised a plan with fake contracts and used the words, I guarantee you will get your money. I promise you will get paid back. I want to help you be comfortable in your retirement years because I'm doing it for my parents too. There's a separate story as to why Natalie's parents are not considered victims as part of this fraud case, and I may do a separate video on that. But yeah, suffice it to say, it does not appear that they were, at least financially, as damaged as others. There was one other thing I thought that I wanted you to hear. Natalie Cochran will speak at her sentencing today because Natalie has to have the last word. If you've ever been around a narcissist, you know that they always have to have the last word. She will try to blame my precious son, Michael. Yep. Or blame someone else for her evilness and deceit. Natalie may even shed a tear or two, but we have now come to know that every word coming out of Natalie Cochran's mouth will just be another lie, and her tears will be fake tears trying to get sympathy from the court. Natalie is also going to use the children to get sympathy here today. Judge, please don't fall for her con. Natalie only cares about herself. She will use, abuse, and manipulate anyone to get her way. That's what Natalie does. But we know the real Natalie Cochran, the thief, the liar, the taker of life, the doer of evil deeds. Time out. I don't know if she means by that expression, the taker of life, if she's referring to the fact that she already thinks, based on what she learned in June of 2019, that Natalie poisoned or did something to Michael, or if she's talking about Natalie taking their lives, as in like their, figuratively, their quality of life. Regardless, that phrase struck me. Natalie Cochran will not only have to answer for her crimes here on this earth, but she will also have to answer to our almighty God in heaven. She does say one thing about the actual death. Watching Natalie Cochran go on living life like a free bird, living life without a care in the world while we suffer and grieve. We have to just sit back and be silent while Natalie gives newspaper interviews about my precious son, Michael, and her statements about what happened on February 6, 2019, and the incidences leading up to his death. We kept quiet as Natalie continues to blame Michael for her evilness that did not stop even after his death. Michael is not here to defend himself, but we are here. We are standing up and asking and speaking for Michael and ourselves and asking the court for justice. The media will not try this case. All the evidence and the proven facts in her guilty plea is enough to sentence Natalie Cochran to the maximum sentence of 11 years and 3 months. Judge Bolt, please, we have suffered long enough. So, I thought that Donna had mentioned in her testimony that Natalie portrayed herself, and I guess when she applied for these contracts, she applied as a woman-owned, minority-owned business because she said, I think she was like a quarter Native American, like a quarter Cherokee. And so some of the other witnesses make reference to this. But I'm going to do kind of a bullet points, maybe a short or something, a short video on like the highlights of anything novel that came out of the sentencing hearing that I didn't know about previously. And in terms of other testimony, instead of reading those, I may read Natalie's, what she says at the end. But I'll just maybe give you the highlights of the other folks, because I'm sure you love hearing me sit here and read this to you. I hope you'll put it on like 2x, because with my Southern drawl, it kind of takes a while. But anyway, I just wanted you guys to hear this. I'm going to share it. I guess I'll do it in the description of my channel. I'm going to put up like a Google Drive link where I'm saving documents. And then this week I'm going to try, when they have on Tuesday through Friday, as much as I can to cover it. I can't live stream all of it because I have client appointments and things, but I will try and do maybe a recap. Lawyer Lee, I think, is on tonight at, I think, 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to try and tune in for that. She's going to have the interview with the local reporter, and then I think she's doing a members only live after that. So make sure you go watch her as well. All right. Sorry for taking almost 40 minutes of your time. I hope everybody has a great Sunday, and I'll be back.